Welcome back to the front stretch, rolling into turn number 2, presented by Quaker Steak and Lube, the official watering hole of the front stretch. Get over to Quaker Steak and Lube today, tonight, tomorrow. I don't mind when. Just get over there and get yourself something good to eat. Arizona Ranch wings are absolutely the best, and I think it might be their best-selling wing sauce. Even though when you look at that heat scale, it's kind of up there.
That Parmesan garlic's got to be right in there, too.
It's definitely number 2 in my heart. And I think it is pretty high up there. But what I was getting at was don't let that heat scale fool you. That Arizona Ranch, I really don't think it's that hot. Of course, I've done the heat challenge a couple of times. So maybe my scale is a little bit different than yours. But it's worth a shot to go over there. And one of these days you could go over on a Tuesday night for dollar wing night. And you pay $1 per wing. And you get to eat unlimited amounts of wings. Pick up the sauces, change them up, try them up different ways, different sizes, all sorts of different stuff.
And if you do the Atomic Wing Challenge, then you get unlimited time in the bathroom.
Definitely. And they do have a state-of-the-art facility for that, too, understanding what they're dealing with. Joining us for another Lyle's Tire and Wheel interview at the World of Wheels Car Show. Keep getting a little bit of feedback from that mic, from that speaker, so I apologize. But enjoy getting over to Lyle's Tire and Wheels, 84th and J Street in Omaha. Check out their showroom. I'm going to encourage that you pull into their parking lot and then look through the big glass windows, because trying to not look at 84th Street and into those windows is a recipe for rear-ending. So don't do that. Pull into their showroom on the west side of 84th Street, and all the different rims, tires, aftermarket equipment they've got. Lyle's Tire and Wheels, 84th and J Street in Omaha.
Biggest selection in town. Absolutely
biggest selection. And they're going to take great care of you, plus all the aftermarket service they'll do with balancing and wheel alignments and all that kind of fun stuff. Check them out today. Once again, 84th and J Street or lylestire.com. Joining us on the podcast now for his annual interview, kicking off the drag racing season for 2025. Jeremy Lehrke, how you doing, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
And I didn't even check it ahead of time. Did I get your name right?
Yes, you did.
One time I got it right, man.
Driving over here this morning, and all he's doing is going, Lehrke.
No, it's perfect.
Driving the Laris Motorsports insurance drag car. Let's start off with, I want to start off by talking about the insurance, because after last year's interview, I actually had a couple of drivers reach out to me and say, is this stuff real? And I'm like, it actually is, but it sounds way too good to be true. So, Carie, thanks a lot for coming on the podcast again. Let's start off from the top. Services you guys are covering, and then go ahead and say it for a second time, because people aren't going to believe you.
Yeah, no, it's real. We cover drag race cars both off and on track. We can cover your trailers, your contents, your pit vehicles, and your motorhomes if you're interested in a quote for all of those items.
These are things that are typically not covered because it's really hard for the insurance companies to put a number on it. Like, I know that Malvern Bank had a tough time for a while with people financing to get motorhomes and to get toters, because the collateral on them is so kind of all over the place that there really wasn't a base model. And Malvern Bank kind of went out there and on their own little island and created the business. And then now it's kind of building into it. And you guys are kind of doing the same thing?
Yeah, so Laris Motorsports, we own the insurance company. We don't farm the underwriting or claims or the captive reserve out to anybody. So because the company is owned by racers, most of our agents are racers. We understand the industry, we understand the business, and we know the risk that we're getting into by insuring race cars, contents, and doing the on and off track program. So,
and you'd mentioned that you started off by saying drag cars. Do you also do circle track cars too?
We do. We can insure sprint cars, some modifieds.
Late models and modifieds.
Late models and modifieds, and then we're looking to grow the business down the road into some other interest. We can do on the side some. I've got some customers with Corvettes and Porsches that do the road course, but that's strictly covered from an off-track towing, fire theft perspective, not on track. So the main focus right now of Laris is drag race cars.
Well, it's inevitable and unfortunate, but 2-3 times a year, we always hear about a car catching on fire on the way to the track, on the way home from the track, in an enclosed trailer. And the stories that go with that. Is that stuff you guys cover?
We do, yep. So our off-track program covers you for fire, theft, towing as you're going down the road. So whether there's an incident inside the trailer with the golf cart or the car and something happens, or the trailer's actually in an accident. And then we cover the race car everywhere at the racetrack up until the time you enter the water box. That's all under the off-track window. And then on-track is once the car enters the water box to the return road. And that's an add-on type program. So
What's the water box?
Where they do the burnout, and they make all that smoke, and then the guys drive forward and they open their doors because they can't see.
I'm a circle track guy,
Yep.
so there's a lot of terms, and I'm like, can you define that for me, Dirk?
You got to start watching some more Street Outlaws. That's what you.
yeah, well, yeah.
We're gonna stop that. But so
That's how I can't stand Discovery Channel, so not a chance. But I'll go down to a local drag strip and I'll watch these guys race, and then I'll go to a drag show and see Tracy.
one of the things I'd like
I
to
got to
add
get
here.
my Tracy Weber jab in there every once in a while.
One of the things I'd like to add here is that there are competitors that do something similar, but you need to read the fine print on some of the other policies, because we truly are covering the car everywhere in the pits. If you're in the staging lanes and somebody backs a golf cart into your dragster, it does a lot of damage. Well, there's other competitors that will not cover you, even though their wordage is that they will, and they leave you hanging.
Yeah.
Laris pays. We have our own claim adjusters, but as my wife mentioned, the racers, the agents are primarily racers or wives of them, and several of them are chassis builders. We know what these things are worth. We know what damage is done if it's done. We don't want anybody to use a policy ever. That's the goal. However, what you also mentioned, once or twice a year, 3 times a year, you hear about a fire. 99% of the time, it's a golf cart, a razor, a moped, something like that. That starts it, and the Good Samaritan that pulls you over on the highway sees smoke. By that time, it's way too late.
Yeah.
You open, and then naturally, what you end up doing is you open the trailer door, and that gives it gives it oxygen, and now you have yourself a bomb. So at that, we cover all that. Where there's a giant misconception with some people have a giant misconception of their homeowner's insurance actually covers you. It does not.
Yeah.
It does not. And several other policies from competitors also don't cover you to the depths that we do. So we're very easy to work with, or we try to be, especially if you talk to Carie. She's a little easier to work with than me. But that being said, we're not going to skirt around nothing. We're going to give you the correct answer, not the answer you want to hear. And we'll be very, very defined. If you're interested in a policy, we can be very defined on what it does cover.
Yeah.
So there's no questions. And another thing that's a little long-winded here, but another thing is the contents of the trailers. Any racer, trust me, until I had insurance, I had no idea how much shit I was covered, how much stuff I had in the trailer. When you add that up, you're talking thousands of dollars. Fire suits, helmets, every spare part, tools, everything. It's an insane amount that a racer doesn't even think of. And
For our circle track guys, shocks.
Shocks, tires, wheels.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We go to Eagle. We've watched.
Yeah.
I know you're an announcer at Eagle.
I'm sorry.
Went there a couple times last year, and those guys are bringing 10 sets of tires and putting them on, and that alone is thousands and thousands of dollars, and that is covered under our policy, and it's itemized.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Is there a policy open and close window, or if I'm midway through the season, can I get a hold of you guys and get started?
Oh, yeah. No, there's no open and close window. It's the date that you decide that you want coverage to be effective. Coverage usually runs for a year.
Mm-hmm.
You can pay annually, semi-annual, quarterly, whatever, monthly premiums. We do all of our financing ourselves in-house. So, again, the benefit of Laris owning the company, we get to make our own decisions on everything that we do, which is really nice.
So it'll be for a calendar. I think she mentioned it's a
the
calendar
policy
year.
is technically a calendar year, but you could sign up today and it'll run for a year. You could sign up next week, and so it's just always ongoing. That's why we're always at the racetrack as well. Mm-hmm. You can sign up at the track. You can call. You can go online and get a quote. So.
Fantastic. Laris Insurance, where's a good place to get more information? Facebook page,
Call me.
website?
You can call me, 402-639-8700. You can stop by our booth. We've got cards we can hand out. We've got a QR code that links to our website. You can enter some information, values on your car. and
Awesome.
it'll give you a real rough quote, and then we reach out and visit with you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Jeremy, let's pivot over to you. No short answer this time, man. I'm not letting you off the hook. How did 24 go?
Well, horrendous. Let's start with that. It was a very rough year. At the beginning of the year, I tried a different combination, and it failed miserably, and I went back to what I knew worked, or I thought wasn't going to work, and then all of a sudden the car was killer again. So the mid-season on, the car was pretty good, but by that time I was nowhere in points anywhere, so I was strictly out there going through the motions and just trying to win some money. And it came around, so I'm come hell or high water, I am leaving that combination in the car. Nothing came out this winter. The motor was still fresh because I didn't put any runs on last year, or very little. Didn't go any rounds, so, or not at the beginning anyway. So this is the first year that since I've had the dragster where the combination has been together all winter. I mean, I did the off-season maintenance and stuff, but I'm ready to roll. And I won't sway far from. It was a carburetor situation, and I'm not ever going to try that again. So we're pretty optimistic that we can turn on some win lights, and I'm going to try to compete for division championship and see how it all shakes out.
So you're going to chase division points then?
I'm going to chase division points, and I'll go to enough nationals where if it gets down to the nitty gritty at the end of the year, if I can crawl up in the top 10, and we'll see what happens.
Might end up in Pomona.
It's not impossible. Vegas, Pomona, Dallas. I really hope. We've been to them all, and I really hope that I need to be there. So.
I kind of want to back up a little bit. I'm curious about if you want to expand on it, if you don't, what was the combination that just went south for you?
I had a larger motor built than I was used to running. There was some safety rules that I was a little bit afraid of with Hans device being mandatory in the class that I run now, and I was paranoid that I wasn't going to be able to see out of the car well. So I built a bigger motor to go faster, put the race in front of me. So believe it or not, you build a bigger motor to be further behind, so you charge at the end. But the race in front of you, you can see. The race behind you, you can't. Turns out, clearly the way I wear my Hans device is not safe because I can see better now than I ever have. So that was there's a fear that I didn't really need to have. But I had a larger carburetor on that combination, and it just did not work. It was ungodly finicky. The only time that if I would drive decent, the car was just not there. And then there was times where the car was good and I wasn't.
Yeah.
So being extremely pissed off, I took it all apart and put on the tried and true 1050 Stenic carburetor that I've used for years. And the first race, I found myself in the quarterfinals, followed by the semifinals, and we then all of a sudden it came around and I could become a driver again. I wasn't worried about being the mechanic. So I'm really focusing on getting my head right and hitting the tree and driving the stripe. So that's the plan anyway. I mean, we'll see how it all goes. But I think we're ready. We have fresh parts and pieces in the car, and the last few years with the Laris insurance, and also Laris insurance helping us out has really opened up some other doors. I've never had this much support from multiple companies. Hughes Performance has stepped up a ton. I know I have the best stuff for
Redline Oil?
Yeah, okay, Redline. Hughes Performance, Redline Oil, Autometer, Dragstat. I have excellent support from some people that are much smarter than me, and I need to do well to earn it.
Yeah, that's a lot of
Or to
pressure
keep
when
it.
you've got some great sponsors lined up behind you, and there's an obligation to perform for them.
Yeah, without a doubt. The Laris thing, we wrapped the car for the people that are at the show. You can't miss it. The Laris banner you can see from the blimp. But anyway, there's those boys. They're from Louisiana, but we see them quite often at the races. We travel the same circuit. So there's actually 5 cars, and then mine. So there's 6 cars that look identical that's a statement. It's really cool. You know, when I was a little kid, I remember being at the races, and I was always wondering who those guys were. And now I am that guy. So
Right.
I really got to do better as a driver and step up. So.
It seems like you're kind of feeling the pressure this year. Like you're really frustrated with the way things went last year.
Oh yeah. It was, you know, in the dirt track world, you know, Eagle Raceway doesn't move, and primarily your racers are from Lincoln, Omaha, and somewhere, you know, wherever. Drag racing's not that way. We're in anywhere from Colorado to, you know, somewhere in Illinois to Missouri to Wisconsin, Minnesota. We're all over the place. So when you're driving 500 miles and you get your teeth kicked in, you get there's plenty of time to think about that on the way home. I mean, you got 2 dogs and Carie and I silent, and you're driving down the road for 10 straight hours and like wondering why I do this, and then Monday I'm ready to go again. So.
Glutton for punishment.
Then you're reading on social media about the guy that pulled up next to you in the staging lane and go, oh, well, I knew I was in the next round.
Yeah. I unfortunately, that's kind of how I felt. I don't think it's – but we're going to try to change that. A couple of years ago, I had a great year, and I need to get back to that. So.
Well, if anything, the year after a bad year, by the way you're acting, I think you're going to be pretty damn determined to have a good year, which is what you need to continue to compete at a high level.
I'm going to kick their asses.
I love it.
I'm gonna do everything I can to put this thing in the circle. Mm-hmm. So it matters. It matters a lot. I've had a lot of sleepless nights and undue stress, or put myself through a lot of stress over a hobby, and I got to win.
Well, you still got a good head of hair, so you're not stressing that much.
I get it cut every week, so it's not gray.
You were talking about those team cars back. I mean, when I was drag race 40 years ago, but the one I really remember were the Castrol GTX cars.
Oh yeah,
the red and the green stripe, the white cars.
Yep, John's still out there. He had a horrific accident last year, but Mr. Force put Jack Beckman in his funny car, and they are lighting it up. He's number 1 qualifier as of yesterday in Gainesville, and it doesn't look like anybody's going to touch that number. And then his daughter just set the national record again.
Mile per hour record, wasn't it?
Yeah, mile per hour and ET. That's quite the organization of those guys. They're great for the sport. John's a little he's pretty vocal.
Excited?
We've interviewed John. That was, hi, John, and shut up.
25 minutes later, I think he finally answered the question.
He's great for the sport, man. You either love him or you hate him, but they still buy their shirts.
Right.
And he's drag racing's Dale Earnhardt, and they're a class act, and I know the guys that work for him. What I think is incredible as we get to know these people through insurance, we're actually insuring some of those teams now. John, the Force Racing camp, they have very, very, very little turnover. Their crew guys stay forever. Mm-hmm. I mean, ever and ever. They all work for their crew chief. I don't think they see John all that much, but these guys are loyal and they're good. So that's what it takes.
Which in such a competitive sport and environment, turnover is automatic.
Yeah.
You get an engine builder that has a good year or two on flawless engines, and everybody's offering him a ton of money to come over and work for them.
Exactly, and it's impressive. They're quite the operation, and that's a cubic money. I mean, racing's expensive no matter what level you're at, but the nitro cars are truly spectacular at blowing things up, and they do it every run. But boy, they're good at it. They can make those things consistent.
Well, I went and talked to Dustin one time up there at the Omaha Speed Shop.
Yeah.
With his experience and whatnot, and we got to talking about the maintenance type stuff, and he goes, a blower belt's 1 run.
Oh, yeah.
We don't give it a second chance to fail. We can still sell it and recoup, 50% on it. And
yeah, some friends of ours through the Laris thing, Billy and Steve Torrance, the Capco guys, they have a ton of parts attrition, and what they end up doing is selling that for discounted price and keep some of the underfunded teams alive. So they're out there running, so it's full fields. It looks better for TV, and I don't know. It's shocking. I mean, they get one run out of a barrel of oil. They get one. I mean, 4 runs for tires. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So.
Jeremy and Carie Lehrke of Laris Insurance. Find out more today. Give Carie a call, 402-639-8700. Make sure to thank some of those great sponsors. I know you listed off a couple of them. But
Yeah, for sure. I get some local help. Larson Floor Coverings is a good dude. And Junior's Forgot Bar is very close to my house. It's convenient. Even drove the race car down there this last summer. There's a story behind that.
Sorry, what was the name of it?
Junior's Forgot Store.
Junior's
Right
Forgot
down
Store?
the street from the Alpine Inn.
Yes, we live in between
North.
the Alpine.
North.
Oh,
Ponca Hills.
Yeah,
Ponca
Ponca
Hills.
I was going to say, because, down in the bottom of that is that there's a gas station and then
Finicky Frank's.
Yep.
Is it on the other
direction.
side?
Other way. Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually, through the woods, I drove the dragster down there. I have not seen a police officer in my neighborhood in 3 years that we've lived there, but that day I did. Saw 2 of them.
You probably knocked a few pictures off some windows.
It was actually terrifying. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to jail. There's nothing legal about that car.
Right.
And we're driving to the bar, which was fantastic. And we had an unlicensed golf cart and moped involved in the situation, taking videos. So everything went fine.
You know what? If you're going to do it big.
Yeah, it was big. I was scared.
They basically looked at us, shook their heads, and went
Yeah.
back to doing what they were doing.
Yeah.
They didn't even.
If we see this person again, he is going to jail. So let's not. So, but it was a good time. And then a couple of Autometer has been helping me out for a long time. Redline Oil stepped up, and I'm getting a lot of good help from. I get good help from Jegs. Me and Jeggy are pretty good friends, and Dragstat is an incredible software prediction program that I sell. And I guess that Hughes Performance, they're my guys, and
Converters and trannies?
yeah,
Is that what you
they're out in Phoenix.
What was the first one you said? Was it Lars Flooring?
Larson.
Larson floor covering and countertops.
Do they do hardwood floors?
Yes, they do. I can get you some information. So he's
next
good.
weekend, I'm tearing the carpet out of my house, and I think there's hardwood floors, but I think they need some.
You hope there's hardwood.
They're incredibly easy. If you get the carpet up,
Yeah.
it's actually not that bad to get it back, to
Okay.
get it to come around.
Yeah.
I'll give you Larry's number.
Please do.
So
I need that because there's things that I love doing on my own. There's other things that I'm like I don't think I trust myself to do it. I could probably fumble around and do an okay
Yeah.
job, but my hardwood floors, I want them.
no, you want that done right.
Yeah. So, and I interrupted you a little bit. Any other ones?
Well, my company, Fox Countertops, the owner's kind of a jerk, but that's me.
Yeah.
But they fund the operation, so that's going pretty well. And that's where we're at.
Fantastic. Guys, always do love talking with you. If you got some time, shoot me a message midway through the year. I'd love to catch up with you.
Yeah, absolutely, I will. And you do a great job at Eagle.
Thank you.
I didn't realize that you were the announcer until we were there last year, and then put it
Well,
together.
And in that case, shoot me a message, and I'll give you my business card myself, and that way
Yeah.
you guys can text me. And then come up and hang out with us out in the booth. We
Yeah.
have way too
That'd be
much fun
great.
up there
That's
sometimes.
That's a great show.
Yeah.
They do. Eagle does a fantastic job. It's really impressive.
Yeah.
So.
I like to say I'm a very small part of a lot of people trying very, very hard.
The sprint cars are amazing.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Hurt Shabart. Terry Hurt.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Terry.
Local sponsor.
Yeah, he's a local sponsor. I'm sorry.
He sponsors our race
I
cars
forgot
well,
that
yeah.
one.
He did my driveway.
Yeah.
Fantastic job.
Terry.
CH Construction.
CH Construction,
Yeah.
yep.
He's actually should be wandering around the show. He's probably maybe at my booth in the cooler right now.
That wouldn't surprise anybody.
Now, he came to Brainerd last year for the first time, and
The zoo.
yeah, the zoo and Terry Hurt are two things that should not go together, and they got along well. So,
Guys, we do appreciate you joining us. It's always fun talking with you. And then, let's get you back on soon.
awesome.
you.
Thank you very much.
Jeremy and Carie joining us on the podcast. Thank you so much. That's going to do it for us today. Dirk and I are going to be back on Thursday with another edition of The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting and Quaker Steak and Lube.